48. So somebody says he liked the Qigong. First time hearing about Qigong. Loved the Qigong. Cool. Awesome, awesome. Shout out to TikTok. Somebody says it sounds like the country. It does sound like the country because we've turned this to the country, but we are not in the country. Kind of, we're in Florida, but which is an island to us. It's an island. I'm in the islands basically. Where, but today I want to talk to you about the importance of being proactive in your mental health. The importance of being proactive in your mental health. Recently, what I've done, somebody just talked about the South. What I've done for my mental health, if I'm gonna be real, because it's been kind of like, it's just be outside more. I know some people can't do that because it's really cold. For me, it's no, like, we normally see the sun. Right now you can't see the sun, so staying indoors to me is like. So what I've been doing is I've just been preparing, getting in my hands in the garden, being out in the soil, and I found that to be very useful in helping my mental health. So that's something that I do to be proactive. It's like, instead of watching TV shows or doing other things when I'm not working, so you know what, I'll just spend my time outdoors, right? And that's a proactivity about mental health. One of the things I do to be proactive about mental health is when I notice what my body needs and tells me, like sometimes, through herbal teas. Right? One of the things I do for my mental health is drink some herbal teas. Like, I have this tea that is literally underrated. It's underrated, I'm not gonna lie to you. It's the anxiety, right? It's vervain, lepia alba, and lemongrass. And then I have its brother or sister that I created, part of my calm nerves, chamomile, passion flower, and then assisted to that, ashwagandha. Now, when you mix all of these herbs together, you got yourself a relaxer, right? It's if you are constantly anxious, depressed, if you just had somebody who was shocked, if you have nerve issues, can't go to sleep, all these other things, you drink that tea, man. I'm telling you, it helps it helps with so much. It even helps you, like that tea. If you are going, it's not for, if you are going through your period, this would be a tea to drink because of the vervain in there. Just the vervain in there in itself would even help you with that. Imagine if you were going to depression, stress, something happened and you still processing it and you got your cycle going at the same time. That tea combination is one of the best. So what I would do for my mental health is not use it, it's use it when I need to calm down, when I feel anxious, stressed, overstimulated, overthinking. I brew myself a cup of tea, I have that tea, and I'm feeling way better. I was like, we can't just, like somebody says, I'm just gonna take the pharmaceutical that they gave me for that. No, you gotta take some herbal medicine, okay? Sometimes you don't just need to drink the tea, you need to change your gut membrane. They found out that 95% of all the serotonin is produced in your gut, okay? So one of the reasons somebody says mental health, anxiety, why it has lemongrass in there? One of the reasons why lemongrass is in that tea is it helps with your gut. And because it's gonna help with your gut, that also helps with your mental health, right? So they literally found out that your mental health is correlated with your gut health. So one of the major things somebody could do is not just drink the tea, but is to change your gut, what I would call it, the status of your gut. Some of you, your gut lining in itself is leaking, right? Some of you need to clear your colon. Your gut is backed up. Some of you that have a toxic environment in your gut, and you create it sometimes based on what you consume and how you consume it, and how long between your last consumption that was overconsumption and your last cleanup. The space between that. What do I mean? We all have periods in your life where you eat more often than you normally would. You have periods in your lives that you eat more often. Let's just get this close. You have periods of your lives where you eat more often than you normally would. Most of us are overdue on a detox. Like you're literally overdue By overdue, I mean like you need a detox tomorrow. Like you need to literally start to detox by tomorrow, right? Because you just came from how many holidays you came from, how many get-togethers you came from, how many times that you struggled with, or different time where you went back, you used food as a coping mechanism. Look, I'm not about to say, oh, it's just talking to you. I'm talking about myself too. I've had more food than usually, eat other things that was not as effective. And we all need some time to give your gut a time to clear itself up. So a lot of us are overdue. You don't have to go and do a whole fast to clear out your gut. You can literally pick out what time you're gonna eat throughout the day while drinking some teas. One of the teas I recommend for you guys is something called Cascara Sagrada. Cascara Sagrada is a bark. It's really good for colon cleansing, okay? It's really good to clean out your colon. Cascara Sagrada. You go to my shop and get you some of that, right? So I sell those. Another one I would recommend is called Mexican tea. Now, I don't have that on my shop, but that one is one of the most effective parasite cleansers. It's a bitter one. It's also used as a spice. Very effective. Aside from that, we got the blood cleanser, blood thinner, that's called Cerasee. I have a parasite cleanse tea with that too. Very effective in going in and washing out the toxins in your blood, right? Literally a natural blood thinner. It also helps with high blood pressure, diabetes. You got a cold, it'll help. It helps with almost everything, right? So it clears out impurities in your blood. We got neem, and other gem. Right now, neem, everybody should have some neem powder, neem capsules, neem leaves, because it does so much, right? So not only does it help with many other, with flu symptoms, but it also helps to detoxify and clean out the blood. It's one of those other bitters. So we have some teas that you can take. So we talk about the colon. Now, most people got a lot of things backed up in the colon. They need to work on their gut, okay? And by their gut, you think you're talking about the fat. But really, you need to work on your internal. Is the gut referring to more of what's inside? A lot of times when we talk about the gut, we literally think about, well, I got a gut. Like we think about it from a physical perspective. But we don't realize what's going underneath inside of the gut, right? And that's what I'm talking about, okay? So one of the most underrated herbs is cayenne pepper. A lot of you need to remember, we talk about chi flow, we talk about blood cleanse, we talk about stagnation, okay? So accumulation is what happened during holiday season or whatever season of your life, the winter season of your life, the dark periods of your life. This is the accumulation. Stagnation is the result of all of that accumulation. Some of you, you're stagnated is manifesting itself as you can't go to the bathroom regularly because you are constipated. That's what the stagnation is manifesting in your body as constipation, right? That stagnation is manifesting as constipation. Some of you, your stagnation is as mucus. Your stagnation is accumulating into mucus, and it has caused respiratory issues, which means you're not necessarily constipated, but you can't really breathe. You're air restricted. Okay. So most of us need an enema. Okay. All right. A lot of people are overdue for an enema, and they're overdue for a mucus cleanse. Right. You need to clear out mucus. Right. Because the mucus is not only bringing out toxins with it, but when it stays, it's actually inviting more toxins. Okay, let me explain that to you. Mucus is doing its job. Its presence means it's not doing its job as effective because it's staying back and not going out. Now, imagine you go and you buy some Advil because you have a cold, and you drink the Advil, and all of a sudden your runny nose stopped. Did your mucus flow, your mucus production or your mucus accumulation, did that stop or get rid, or was that getting rid out of your body? Not necessarily, but you just stopped experiencing the symptoms of what is the evacuation of the thing you don't need. So what is that? What am I saying? Here's what I'm saying. I'm saying this. You have to understand your symptoms are not to be alleviated so you feel good and, oh, I feel better, but you need to get to the root of the issue. So most people, I need to take Pepto pink bottle so I can use the bathroom. Okay, you're gonna use, maybe you go one time. Then you're gonna need some more again. Okay, now we know that's literally Walgreens is now the plug, CVS is now the plug, and you are the consumer, right? You gotta keep going to get that, or you keep having, what is it called? Acid reflux. Okay, and you just like, I need to get me that pill, and you never get to the root. You gotta go to the root of the issue to find out what are the habits. A lot of times, the root of the issue are normally habits. Let's pick somebody with acid reflux. Let's say that person has a habit of eating late at night and sleeping on their side in a way where the acid is going, like literally changing the habit of how you sleep when you sleep can help. What if that person only does the same thing every day, goes to sleep the same way, and then just like, you know what, I'll take some apple cider vinegar for my acid reflux. Well, you're gonna keep having to eradicate symptoms when you get to the root of the habits that's causing it, the food that's causing it, the stagnation that's causing it, and the eating time, whatever, and then you get to the root of it, now you won't even experience it. So it's better for us to get to the root of issues rather than try to mitigate the symptoms so we can feel better. Are you tracking with me? Are you making sense? So we got to learn how to get to the root. So we talked about a couple of things that we could start with. Things that should have gotten out that didn't get out yet. Feces that's backed up. Number one reason why a lot of people are sick. Things that should have gotten out that didn't get out yet. Things that are trying to get out but can't get out because you keep putting more things in. That's both ends. The nose and the rear end. Okay? So we only have very few holes in our body. Somebody says, whoa, pause. You got your eyeballs. I guess that's not even really a hole, but it is because water can come out of it. You got your nose. Okay? That's a hole. You got your mouth. It's another hole. Okay? All right, we got your rear end. All right, that's a hole. And you know, some of you both got a hole in front, okay? Because you gotta pee, you gotta do other stuff, right? So we're not gonna go that deep into it. But anyways, you got holes, okay? Those are the holes you have in your body. Those holes, they do a couple things. They get things out and they get things in. Your mouth eats, digests. Doesn't digest, breaks down, goes down. Then the digestion process starts, excretion process starts. Then it's separation, right? Which is gonna go, which is gonna exit, which is gonna go to the bloodstream. Okay. So what goes in your holes are the most important things, and what come out is very significant. Very important, because what goes in your mouth is gonna determine what nutrients are extracted. What hormones, what cells are created, what type of cells are created, when they're created, how they're created, the different function of your body, all of that. How your skin looks, how your hair looks, how your thought is. What you eat literally over time creates your cells, which creates you. Okay? Now, what you eat that didn't come out on the other end eats you if it's not feeding you. So those, we can call that, I like this. I like the way I'm putting it today. That becomes parasites. It's like a person in your life. If they're not feeding you, what they're doing, they're probably taking and eating from you, right? So you got parasites that then now live inside of the body, because now, the liver is like, I couldn't get nothing from that. That's not for me. The kidneys, it's not even making itself to the kidneys because it's loving the gut. It's like, I love this toxic environment, or it's in your digestive tract somewhere, or somewhere in the colon, and it's like, I'm loving it here. I don't want to get out. I just want to stay here. Okay? So we got to send out parasite, things that go in there just to attack those. Those are the herbs. It's like parasite annihilators or parasite assassins. You send parasite assassins, and those are what the herbal teas that are really good for that. Parasitic assassins, shooting all the parasites. And then what you want to do though, you want to do a wash so that after the parasites are killed, they can be washed out. Now, here's the thing about the gut. Here's the thing about your stomach. Here's the thing about your digestive system. If it's working in digesting, it's not working as so much as clearing the backed up old stuff. There's some stuff that's backed up and really old. You know how somebody says you're full of sugar, honey, iced tea? That's what they literally mean. You're full of sugar, honey, and iced tea. Literally in your colon. And you're like, oh, that small and large intestines. So like some of the stuff you are getting rid of are either brand new that find their way through, or and the old stuff is still back there. So what you need to do is go through a period where you're not digesting as much so that your body can focus on excreting. Here's a good way to do that every single day, is to look at your not eating time as a fasting period, which allows your body to do that work every day. Now, your body is supposed to do, and it does, but it can do it better if you give it more time. Not only if you give it more time, if you also give it the things it needs at night to do what it needs to do. Here's what I mean by that. Most people, they wake up 7 a.m., 8 a.m., I got to eat some food. You're eating way too early. You're breaking your fast at breakfast, which is a whole scam. You should really break your fast a little bit later in the day. By that I mean not like 6 a.m., right? Not like 7 a.m. It's kind of really early. That's just herbal tea time, right? You could pass with a fruit, but I wouldn't even recommend a fruit that early. Around 9 a.m. is a good time to eat. Somebody says, but I'm already at work. You see, that's work messes up a lot of people's schedules. One of the best things that you would be able to bring is like, it's cold, like vegetable juice, smoothies, fruits. That's probably the best way to break your fast. If you actually had if one of you just heard this today, however way you heard it, and you just like, you know what, I don't know this guy like that, but you know, this sounds like something I could do. You just try this and it becomes a lifestyle. I promise you could change your entire life. The research has been done. People have proven it. I haven't invented this. It's called intermittent fasting. All you do is you get a period of time where you would normally not eat. You extend that period from 6 hours or 8 hours to you get it to 12, 14, or 16. Now somebody says, it's normally 16. That's the real thing. That's the industry standard. 14 is good. 12 is a start. So what does 12 look like? 12 hours looks like 6 to 6. Sundown to sundown sundown to sun up is really 12 hours. But that is what I mean. Whenever your sun set, 8 a.m., 8 p.m., 7 p.m., let's say 7 p.m. to 7 p.m. is 12 hours. 7 p.m. to 7 a.m. is 12 hours. 4 more hours is 16 hours. So that means to 8 a.m., 9 a.m., 10 a.m., 11 a.m. would be your breakfast period. Now, you can consider that when you actually eat raw foods, or when you eat cooked foods or whatever you're going to eat for breakfast, 11 a.m. And between 9 and 11, you can have fruits, vegetable juice, anything light like that to keep feeding. It's almost like you're not an autophagy, but you're still fasting, which means your insulin rose because you consume some sort of sugar from the fruit, but your body is still operating with the water that's from fruits. So what I mean by that is it's not the same as water fasting, not eating anything, but you're still fasting. So by the time you ate, after you ate, you're still clearing up. And if you do that every day, you're going to clear up. But what's going to get you jump started at that? A process. You need a process to get to that point. You need a process. And one of the best processes is a period of time where you say, day by day, I'm not going to eat this, I'm not going to eat this. You change the time between your eating times. You cut off your eating point at sunset. And you do that for a week of letting go. And then you do another week of letting God. That's just a week of fasting. And then you do another week, then you do a week of raw, getting back to eating soups. You got yourself a 3-week, my accent just came out. You got yourself a 3-week, you got yourself a 3-week detoxification process, which have restart with clarity at your gut, which has gotten you to get rid of toxins that's been held back there. Clear out your colon, clear the small, do a whole wash. You're drinking herbal teas. You're drinking things like burdock, dandelion, kidney, and liver, right? Because you don't want to just clean the blood. You want to clean and empower the blood cleaner. Let me say that again. I'm trying to simplify it as much as I can. You don't want to clean just the blood. You want to clean the organ that cleans the blood. So now that is a good way of thinking. You don't want to just get rid of the toxins. You want to make sure you support the organ that the toxin was in while you ignored it. Okay? So then there are different ways of supporting those organs. But you would say, okay, you said, hey, I got to take care of my liver. So does that mean I just need to take dandelion? Or I got to take my kidney? Does I just need burdock or milk thistle? Or Ed, I need to take care of whatever. Okay? What do I need? Okay? Now, Chancapira is a herb that helps with stones. It's literally stone breaker. Now let's say somebody got kidney stones, or liver stones, or gallbladder stones, wherever the stones are at. You could take Chancapira, break the stones down, but then one of the causes of that may be anger. Maybe you're always mad. Maybe you have resentment in your heart. And the resentment is not just in your heart, it's in your liver. Okay? That anger in your liver will still remanifest itself if it's not healed from an emotional standpoint as stones in the body. So literally, you could do the health transformation, but if your emotions don't match the health transformation, you could find yourself back to the same thing. Because then your anger can cause you to, your anger does not just affect the organ directly, it affects your choices because it affects your emotion. If you get mad, you might just not start eating crunchy food, all types of stuff, more fried foods. Let's put the correlation between how anger and your liver cause you to make decisions that cause you to keep you sick, while the anger itself is making you sick. You get mad, you stop eating fried foods for a while, but now that you got real angry, very angry, situation, life, people, you find yourself just eating a bunch of crunchy fried foods. That is not helping the blood. That's creating sludge in your blood. Okay? And the worst is, if it's being cooked with vegetable oil, which is like smoking cigarettes, or if it's at a fast food restaurant, even worse. That's causing you sick, literally. Okay? But the emotions is causing you sick. So we take care of the organ that take care of whatever, but we got to take care of the person that is supposed to take care of the organ, and that's self-care, being tuned with your emotions, dealing with what you got to do, your spiritual connection. Your relationship with God is the most important part of your health tool. The more aligned you are with the Spirit, is the less you are prone to feed the flesh, is the more pull you're going to be towards health. So the most important thing is not just what you're eating, how you're feeling, but it's, do you know whose you are? Now somebody says, I know who I am. Now, not everybody's going to understand this one, but the question is, do you know whose you are, right? Do you know where you come from? Do you know why you're really here. Okay, do you know what love is? Have you experienced the true love that comes from God? Has that been shared to your soul and your spirit? That's what a lot of people are missing. Okay, so these are all the different connections. These are all how these things are related and correlated. All of it coming together, affecting your health. Okay, so there are some things you could do today. We woke up today with positive intention. Today we woke up and said we're gonna move, breathe. There was some good, like you got up, you got moving. Now you could make a choice. You know what? I'm gonna drink some tea, herbal tea today. I'm gonna go, might do a walk. I'm gonna do something to stimulate my mind. I'm gonna stop scrolling as much today, or I'm gonna stop, whatever. Just make certain steps today, or I'm gonna spend some time today, pray. I'm gonna pick up the word and read the word today. I'm gonna call a good friend today. Like you do something, right? You do something that's gonna shift what you've been doing versus what you know you should be doing or could be doing. Okay, and you make a decision. So just like I said, anger affects your liver, worry affects your spleen, fear affects your kidneys, sadness affects your heart, and grief affects your lungs. So that's just a quick overview. I just wanted to share that with you. I wanted to show you some certain things you could do for your mental health. Now that's just a tip of the iceberg, but I touched that tip just a little bit, so y'all can get that. Okay. So shout out to everybody. Thank y'all for tapping in to this episode of Rise and Prime. Fairly extended, because I guess I had stuff to say today, so I just went ahead and just said them. Shout out to everybody. Y'all have a beautiful, blessed day. Drop an affirmation down in the chat. Let's do an affirmation. We get our party started. Okay. So a lot of people, they create an identity out of what is labeled as a disease, but is actually a manifestation of certain conditions. There are some people who say, I have high blood pressure, I have diabetes, or I have cholesterol, or I have this and I have that. I'm not saying that they're not a qualification of certain amount of things that happen in the body at the same time. But a lot of them are not they're not a disease, they're actually a result of the conditions of your life. And somebody says, what do I mean by that? What do you mean they're not a disease? It's not a disease if you can reverse it by changing your basic lifestyle. Somebody says, what do you mean by it? I don't understand it. Somebody says, well, cholesterol, I have high cholesterol. Well, you can't condemn yourself to say that's a disease. Or I have my cholesterol, my good cholesterol, bad cholesterol, and they say, I do. No, that's not the way to look at it. Some of you, it may be like, man, you need to probably stop eating as much fried foods and more avocados. Somebody says, well, my cholesterol ain't, and avocado raises my cholesterol. Or whatever. Wait, good cholesterol, bad cholesterol? Like, they're like, I don't know, I just can't eat that because of my cholesterol. Like, well, you might want to detox so that you can eat more avocados. Because it's probably going to be something that you need to eat. Probably going to be more beneficial to you than not eating it. So some people might stay away from certain foods because they say it's not good for when that's what they need the most. Hopefully it's trickling down. Somebody says, what's something good for cholesterol that I can take? It's right there, avocado leaves. Avocado leaves, one of the, I don't know if you have some, but very basic. Something you could drink. So what am I saying? I'm saying don't always look at your conditions as a set disease that somebody says, well, you're going to have diabetes forever. No, doc, that's what you said. Somebody says, well, you're going to have high blood pressure. You're going to have to be on this high blood pressure medication for the rest of your life. Okay, let's think about it. If you had a pump and the pressure was off of the pump, wouldn't you go find out what's causing the pressure, or if the pressure was too high, too low, wouldn't you go trying to figure out what's happening with the pump? right? Most people say, okay, well, you have high blood pressure, but never taught to you about heart, how to make sure your heart is healthier, right? Nobody talks to you about how breathing and your lungs and how the oxygenation from your lungs and your blood, that the lungs oxygenate the blood, and that you need to breathing is just as important as your blood. Nobody's gonna tell you about heart health and what foods, the whites, animal fat, flour, sugar, salt. Nobody talks to you about that, but they're like, well, you got to take this medication forever. Nobody says circulation, and nobody says exercise, or nobody says, let's talk about your emotions. Are you often angry? Nobody says that. They're like, well, you have high blood pressure. It's a sentence, and you just have to take this, okay? And little do you know, you go ahead, you have diabetes, and your A1C levels is, and you're like, okay, so I have to take that in order for the rest of my life? Or the question is, what do I need to, it's not, I'm gonna tell you, if you wanna remember this, remember it. The question is not, what do I need to take to feel better? The question is, who do I need to be and how do I need to live to be better? Okay, let me say that again. The question is not, what do I need to take to feel better? The question is, what lifestyle and mindset and identity I need to identify to do better? And the doing better is going to keep you better. Now, what you got a lifestyle of herbs and eating healthy and detoxing once in a while, you can even eat certain stuff you know you ain't supposed to eat, you still be better. You still be healthier, right? Even if you have just a mindset of, if I'm going to eat something I enjoy, I'm not going to eat the worst part of it or the worst quality of it. I'm going to get the best one. Just that mentality alone. Somebody says that's more expensive, and you're like, well, I'm willing to pay that price than that price. Even that in itself. Just saying, just making certain decisions. I'm going to drink more water. You know what? Maybe I like sweet stuff. I'm going to eat sweet stuff, but there at least the stuff that's made with pig bones and remains and all these things and those gummy things, I'm not about to eat these things because I know that these are not bad or not that good. If I have a sweet tooth, I'm gonna get at least healthy, something that's not as healthy but not as bad. Just little shifts in mindset. Like, I'm not asking people to be perfect. It's just simply you changing the way you look at certain things. You're like, yo, you know what? I like, you might be a person that says, I like burgers and I don't see myself not eating burgers for the rest of my life. Cool, listen to this. You might just say, but McDonald's is not the quality of burgers that I accept. You might be like, well, it seems backward. You're still gonna eat ground beef. No, I'm telling you, this is just for the beginners. If you could give up the basic that you know is like, that's another level of bad. You can then get to the next good. And then you can start, as you appreciate yourself more, value your temple more. That's what decision when it comes to food is about. It's not about living the status quo, living up to somebody's expectation or standard. It's about self-value and self-worth. That's what healthy wellness is. It's like, at some point you're gonna have to look at it and be like, yo, I gotta self-value. I gotta eat a little healthier there. I've been eating trash. Or I gotta self-value. I gotta stop drinking that too much. I've been doing a little bit too much on that. It's really as you value yourself more and your body and where you're going and your temple, and you value God in you, you value the Holy Spirit, you're gonna have to make a shift eventually, even if you don't want to. It ain't always something you want to do right away, because sometimes you be buried by life, things be going on. But at some point, you're gonna have to look back at yourself and say, I remember who I am now. Right? I'm not eating myself to this. I'm not treating my body like this. I'm not trashing myself like this. Every day I'm waking up not feeling it. I remember who I am now. And at some point, you gotta remember who you are. That's all it is. Because it's not that you need to be somebody completely different than you've been to be better or do better. It's just that you need to get out of what you've been coping with and start doing what you know is part of your healing process. So let me say that one more time. And let me say this affirmation, and shout out to you for putting that. I'll call you Melinda for now, because that's the first thing I see. But Melendale, she said, I am, or whoever, don't know the pronoun. I am valuing myself more each day. God's glory, my temple is precious. Okay, that's a good affirmation. I am valuing myself more each day. God's glory, because my temple is precious. I am valuing myself each day for God's glory, because my temple is precious. Amen to that, Melendale. I'm not gonna butcher your name. Amen to that. You want to value yourself more. Eating is a choice of valuing yourself. Letting go of stuff is a choice of valuing yourself. At some point, you might have to value your finances to say, I spent too much money on that. I ain't gonna spend more money on that. It's valuing yourself. What if you woke up today and says, I'm gonna put some respect on my body, some value on my gut. I'm gonna put some value on my destiny. Valuing your destiny says, God got somewhere to take me. I can't mess it up by doing that. And value, self-respect, self-value, self-confidence will get you to get out of situations. You know, you might be okay with yourself regardless of where you're at in life. This is self-acceptance. To be okay with yourself no matter where you're at in life. And we all have to have self-acceptance. Self-value is not being okay with yourself wherever you're at in life. It's not that I'm not okay with myself wherever I'm at in life. It's that I'm reminded of what the possibilities are and what I've done and what's available for me. So therefore, I choose to do better because I can. And because you choose to do better, it means you still accept yourself wherever you're at. It's just that I can do better. Let me give you an example. You might wake up and you look at yourself in the mirror and you're like, I am very obese. And we're not talking about 50 pounds over your standard weight. It might be 200. This is a different, you can look at yourself and do two ways. Let me give it to you straight up. Two ways. As a personal trainer, I have to tell people truth all the time. You can look at yourself two ways and say, well, I love myself how I am. Absolutely. You're not your body. You're not how much weight you have on you. You're not the extra 100, 200 pounds. That's not you. You are a spirit that lives in the body and possesses a soul. What does that mean? That means that statement is true. But what if you look at yourself at the same token and says, I love myself how I am. I appreciate myself how I am, because how I am is not how I look, it's who I am. But knowing who I am and I love myself so much, I ought to have more mobility. I want to be able to walk. I want to be able to buy the clothes I want. I want to be able to have the longer life. I want to have. You're going to start saying, man, I value my life and myself as much as I love myself. I got to lose some weight. I can't keep being 300 pounds overweight or 100 pounds overweight. Like, yo, it's hurting me. Okay, it's hurting my health. That's value. Now, there's another part of that we mostly look at it is somebody look at their neighbor and they're like, my neighbor is like this, I'm not like that. And they're doing comparisons. So now that's envy. Now that's another sickness. Then jealousy, that's another sickness. Then feeling like you're not good enough because you're not matching society's standards, that's different. You know, there's somebody, let's say somebody's 30 pounds overweight, but they're still moderately healthy. If you just focus on being healthy, and being healthy leads you to the gym, walk, and you could lose the 30 pounds, great. That'd be perfect. You'd be great. But if you keep obsessing about your extra 30 and not focus on health, you may be hurting yourself more than you think. Here's what I mean. You're focusing on the extra 30 because you want to be a specific image. When you're extra 30, sometimes it's just fine. Sometimes it looks good on you anyways, by the way. It looks good on you. Who knows if it don't? I don't know what your standards are. What matters is not what it looks like. What matters is, what is it? Are you healthy? Are you healthy? That's the question. Are you healthy? Is it helping you? Is it hindering the quality of your life? What else? Is it something that you've always wanted to do and you've never been able to do it because you haven't been able to be disciplined enough? That's what matters. What matters is not Do I look over my shoulder and do I look like a Vogue model? Like, if you see an American Next Top Model, everybody that was on there right now, to today's beauty standard, would not be considered beautiful. All of them would have to go get a BBL. They're all, I'm just kidding. But you're talking about I'm not talking about how I think, I'm talking about how the world thinks. So if we look at the beauty standards that's portrayed to you and you say, I need to be that, then you will never be healthy. Because you could be a skinny person and you get a BBL, you're still unhealthy. Or you could be a bigger person, you get liposuction and you're still unhealthy. So looks are not that important, but it will be a byproduct of a mind shift. Once you change your mindset, your lifestyle, the way you think about things, your looks will start to look. You'll get it, and it's not going to be the most important thing. And that just changes everything. And you're like, yo, that's another level of thinking about it. If you wake up and say, how can I be healthier? You're just going to end up healthier, and you're going to end up looking like you want to look. Now, does that mean that you don't need to have goals? That's not what it means. But it means one of the most things that fuel your goals is not the goal itself, but it's the identity. Okay? If you look at yourself in the mirror and say, I'm fat, your identity is not correct. Now, here's the difference between